Iran has opened the doors to delegates of the 16th gathering of the self-described non-aligned states, the largest international summit to have ever been hosted by the Islamic Republic. 50 leaders from the countries which don't consider themselves connected to any power bloc are expected to convene in Tehran within the week. Well, nuclear weapons, non-proliferation, and the conflict in Syria will be among the issues topping the agenda. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has decided to attend despite pressure from Washington and its allies, which have been accused of trying to play down the importance of the summit. Well, we can now discuss this, what it means for international politics, with Asia Times correspondent Pepe Escobar, who joins us live from Hong Kong. Mr. Escobar, thanks very much for being with us here this morning. Now, we know that almost 2/3 of UN member states are to take part. The organization's head, of course, will be there. So what does that actually mean? Is this a failure for Western diplomacy, in your opinion, and its attempts to isolate Iran?
Look, just look at the map. It's very simple. Who is in Tehran at the moment? I would say it's the real international community. Who's over there? Central America, the whole of Central America, including Cuba. Most of South America. Virtually the whole of Africa. The Middle East, Iraq and Afghanistan. India and Pakistan, Southeast Asia, the whole of Southeast Asia. And we have as observers Mexico, Brazil and Argentina from Mercosur in South America, and China. What does that tell you? That this is the real international community trying to find solutions to pressing problems such as the Iranian nuclear dossier and the war in Syria. And the coverage, I have to talk about journalism here as a journalist. The coverage in American mainstream media ranges from the pathetic to the absurd. They only talk about Iran trying to boost its credentials and show that it's not isolated. It was never isolated in the first place. This is a figment of the imagination of the Obama administration and the European poodles, the allies, and the GCC petromonarchies in the Middle East. So this is a real, very important meeting, harking back to those great NAM meetings when Joseph Tito of Yugoslavia was still alive.
Interesting question here, Mr. Escobar. Forgive me for interrupting you. As you said, it's a very important meeting, and a lot of countries from the region will be there participating. But how effective can they really be, and the decisions that they are going to take there, especially given the fact that none of the major powers responsible for the measures is taking part in the conference? So how much do you expect from this particular meeting?
Well, I expect something very important I wouldn't say a Syria breakthrough, but very importantly, before the meeting, the Saudis, the Turks, and the Qataris, they wanted a condemnation of the Syrian government. Egypt, which, by the way, President Morsi is the first Egyptian leader to visit Tehran in 32 years. He's there himself, in person, not an emissary. This in itself is a major geopolitical breakthrough. It proves that Sunni Egypt and Shiite Iran now are talking at the highest levels. So, coming back to the preparation of the summit, the Saudis, the Turks, and the Qataris wanted a confrontational approach. Egypt proposed, no, we have a contact group with us, Egypt, plus Saudis, Qataris, and Iranians, and we're going to talk about a possible solution for Syria. This is what it's all. This is how diplomacy works at the highest levels. You have to find a solution involving the main partners in the region, and a solution that will save face for everybody.
Well, absolutely. Speaking of solutions, Tehran says it has a comprehensive peace plan for the conflict in Syria, which will be presented during the summit. So how effective will that be, and will the international community welcome this effort, in your opinion?
Well, the international community, the real one, which is present in Tehran, they may. The problem is the people who think that they are the international community. This means Washington, London, and Paris, and Riyadh as well, which, by the way, is represented by the Saudi deputy foreign minister in Tehran. The problem is the local partners, they can arrive at a solution. The problem is the main people who are interfering, which are basically the GCC petromonarchies, even if they are in and Washington, they don't want a rational solution. They want regime change. And so, this goes way beyond NAM. You can have 25 summits all over the world, and you'll never find a solution for this contradiction. How you going to spread democracy in the Middle East when you are calling for humanitarian bombing or regime change based on a bunch of guerrillas in a sovereign nation?
All right. Well, Mr. Escobar, finally, before we'll let you go, here's a question about Tehran's nuclear program. So, in your opinion, how will the summit affect the talks on it?
Well, not much. Let's be rational here. This is being discussed by the P5+1. The 5 permanent members of the Security Council plus Germany. And the problem is, every time there is a breakthrough, this is cut off in the bud by Washington. They don't want a breakthrough. They don't want a negotiated solution. Washington's policy is to keep rolling over the thing, maybe to next year. And depending what we have next year, if we have an Obama too, maybe Obama, because he doesn't have to run again for a third time. He will go for a Nixonian moment, go to Tehran or go to somewhere else and try to broker a deal. If we have Mitt Romney as president, we all know what's going to happen. He's going to support the Bibi-Barack duo for a war against Iran. So this is beyond NAM's reach. But we can have a strong message from NAM, 2/3 of the UN, basically saying, look, try to find a diplomatic solution for the Iranian nuclear dossier.